K, double D, Great Dragon, whatever you want to call. This is, I've got those horns, literally. This is Bob's office. A couple of things that happened this week that was pretty easy to recover. One was USB port gone bad on a server workstation motherboard, falling back to USB 1.1, but then you lose the capability to talk to cameras and things like that. It's got to deal with their protocol. I only know enough to troubleshoot, but knowing how USB is and phones and peripherals like keyboards, mouses is the minimum requirement to get into an OS unless you do it remotely. So I was able to get that running. That's upstairs. And I just threw in another computer in the mix. I'm pretty sure Bob would complain about that, but it allows us to get into the CDM radio and get into the camera to see what's on the screen. So I guess it's a solution to a problem. And as long as the problem goes away, I'm fairly certain that should be an award right there. Anyhow, then the other problem we ran into is the 3CX box in the other room apparently got infected by ransomware because someone took over and installed something weird and popped in a proxy or something. So we reloaded that one, blew it all out. Didn't take more than about an hour because you can put Windows on a pin drive and just reload it and use a remote activation from Microsoft. So you don't really have to do much. But I'm talking to the other engineer to find out if he needs WAN access because he's running a PBX and I keep forgetting to use dynamic ports like the old days of FTP and troubleshooting that. I don't know why people, well, it is cheaper, so okay, yeah, because most of the cloud solutions now kind of get around that by using TLS tunneling and many other new resources. But it is what it is, and I'm debating right now. I just finished pre-programming the last interface back up. I'm doing an interface swap in a bit here, and I'm debating on having the team. But see, if I do that, then it's going to break the VPN support to the rest of the network. But it's hard to explain to a non-Cisco engineer tech how routing works because that's what routing does, unless I create some metrics and some other stuff to redirect traffic. But that's what it's engineer level stuff that does. But we'll see because certain things work, certain functions don't work correctly. I know how to make it work, but at the same time, we also have to obey security countermeasures. So no more trying to avoid leaving Windows Open Desktop, and if using a free remote control program, just remember that's one factor of authentication. Two factors when you have to guess the user. If you can see the user, then you don't need to guess it. And three factor, or also known as multi-factor, is when you have to have a key or SMS or some sort of level of confirmation added on top of the first two. So some people don't like it, and I can agree that it's a pain in the ass, but at the same time, it removes a vector of a hack. A website isn't as bad because once your account's compromised, at least if the other third party didn't make the account shared in the back end, it should only affect your own account, assuming that you can't recover like credit card information and things like that, then it limits the damage. But that's just depending on how you think. Remember, whatever you can do with ease kind of leaves the door open. It's like saying that a lock is a good enough, which is right, keeps the honest people out and deters the crooks. It doesn't stop them, but it will slow them down enough that hopefully they won't go after that. See, in today's cybersecurity world, everything is pretty much a lock. And as they say, shut it off, air gap it, whatever the case is pretty much the strongest way of doing it. But then if you're trying to multitask, networking and communications technology is what you need for things to happen. I mean, there's nothing wrong about having older tech. It's just remembered anything network can allow a backdoor in theory. So a network doesn't have to be that complicated because everything can be networked in one way or another. It's just how we treat information, and that's why IT is now cybersecurity. So, and if anyone out there who actually has a really good checklist, I would love to hear it because it would probably give me something to put on my websites and things like that as I'm mitigating other tasks and finding other time. I'm just freeing up more of my time because work isn't giving me really difficult task, and certain tasks are nearly impossible unless I can figure out where those resources may have disappeared. So, in other news, I'm also trying to finish up some LED project tonight. So if I can get that up and running, woohoo! I'll have a binary clock that will hopefully be one of the most accurate ones because it'll use NTP time to drive it. Do is you decode the time, just do a 12-hour time period, and then just decode that into binary, I guess. So, whatever. I haven't heard much from the other party, but everything seems to be quiet at my end, so that's actually good news. And I'm planning my summer plans soon, and hopefully I'll make my trip back to Megaplex this year for a unannounced visit to see how the group is doing. But whatever. All right.